Well, hello everybody. LDM Cop 37 here for a DH&T on April 9th, 2021, Friday. And had a good game last night. Get rid of that alarm, thank you. The title of the episode I already forgot. It was called the Latonius Monologues. And
next right, and then right turn.
I am going to assume that only the people that play would dare watch this video. And so by me talking about the title and what it means, it wouldn't be a spoiler. There's probably like one or two people somewhere out there in the internet that can stomach a smaller bite-sized portion of a video than like watching the whole game, especially last night because I had the cameras reversed. I had the big camera on me and the small camera on the table, and that wasn't quite the way I wanted it. I checked Facebook today to see
about 2 miles.
There was there was something I wanted to see, and I was like, oh crap, that's a thing. So I got some road work on the road here, so not a big deal. So the characters just talked about what to do, and then they talked about what Latonius had told them, and he would provide a distraction, and then they could find him 2 days south, and he gave a brief description. And so so they decided, there was a supposed fire in the western fields. Those would be the fields closest to the stream. If you're looking, at the monastery from the front, the west is towards the stream, the east is to the groves and the eastern fields. So everyone in the monastery, in the abbey there, started to mobilize, thinking that they would have to start a water line and whatever else they would need to do to put out a fire. And so the characters were like, oh, is this the distraction? And then they just kept talking about it, and they couldn't decide where to go. They were given some bad information saying that the storage root cellar where their weapons were kept there was a way in that way. So I'm not really sure why the character thought that throwing that misinformation into the game would have been helpful. You would think he would be on the same side as the other characters. So my only conclusion would be it's a player who's trying to get one over on the other players, and that's kind of unfortunate because it just shows a lack of team building, a lack of respect. But if the other players ever thought to put two and two together, then perhaps they could confront him and say, why did you do that? But I don't think the other players will ever figure it out. For one, they don't seem to be able to, unless they already have out-of-game knowledge of a situation, it seems like it's very hard for them to,
in a quarter of a mile, left turn,
figure out subtle misdirections or red herrings. I don't know why. I think it's because the players would rather, instead of wasting time on mysteries and role playing, they would just rather like to go defeat the thing, get levels, get gold, and then repeat that cycle over and over. And anybody that knows me knows that's not the kind of game I run. So I just, as a person who also participates in the game, that is not what I enjoy. So I'm sure that there is a dungeon master out there somewhere who would run a video game style of D&D session where you just go do the thing and then you level up and go and do the thing and level up. And so you can, and that's part of the attractiveness of 5th edition to a lot of younger players, is there's always a present. You're always getting a reward every level. Older editions, you didn't always get a reward every level, other than, say, more hit points. Your saving throws didn't change necessarily every level. Your THAC0 didn't change necessarily every level unless you were a fighter. So, considering that these are more older players I'm with, that's kind of an interesting quirk maybe, or I'm not sure how to, and I'm not sure I want to even categorize it. It's just what I perceive as what happens. So, that's just my perception. It could be right, it could be wrong, but, some people like carrots and some people don't, and there's nothing you can do to change your mind about it. So,
in half of a mile, right turn.
After they figured out that they couldn't get in to the building without suffering from the wards placed there, they decided to go find Latanius. And after a couple of days of uneventful travel, they found him. And suffice it to say, he asked them to do something, and I made a mistake as a dungeon master. I should have used a different name for the creature.
Next right.
But I didn't. I used the book name for the creature, and I think some of the characters knew what that was, and I think it changed the way that they approached the encounter. So I should have known better than to leave the name what it was, but I fucked up, so I own that one. So as Latonius was attempting to perhaps nudge them in the way of defeating or slaying this creature that was supposedly terrorizing the area down there, they were already thinking, well, no, this is like a good creature. It sounds good and whatever. So they sort of like immediately were not aggressive in the encounter. And I think that my anecdotal evidence is correct, because I think there were a player or two that didn't know what this was, and they were preparing to fight, where the others didn't seem like they wanted to fight. And usually players don't do a lot of not wanting to fight. The combat portion of D&D is one of the most attractive parts of the game. So if they get a chance, normally they hop on it. They shoot first and ask questions later. But, perhaps I'm selling these players short. Perhaps they actually
next left.
were leaning towards the side of good. That could be as well. But in the overall scheme of the game,
about 3 miles,
it wasn't that big of a deal, because there were some dice rolls that were made and some assumptions by the monster that made the encounter dangerous. but the creature was, the encounter was completed successfully. That can mean one of many things. It could mean they didn't fight the creature and talk their way out of it. They did fight the creature, but then talked their way out of it. They fought the creature and slayed it. They fought the creature and drove it off. A successful encounter can be any one of 1,000 things. Pretty much any encounter that you walk away from is a successful encounter in D&D. So, Latanius then, after that happened, he monologued. He climbed up a hill and told the characters things that he had said before that were true, but they didn't mean what the characters thought that he meant. He explained who he was affiliated with, and what he was going to do now. And it was interesting because I have never been a big evil person monologue. Normally I like to monologue in a when there's not a threat of violence. But I can see now why in media, movies and books and whatever, why the monologue is so attractive. Why the bad guy always reveals his plans before the good guys come back and defeat him. And that's because the bad guy told them their plans. So I felt like it was interesting from that perspective. And also because in his monologue, he was able to talk about certain things that he had said or clues that the characters didn't pick up on. I'm not sure if they picked up on him when he explained the truth of those clues or statements that he made during the game, the previous game. So it was really nice though, because Daryl, who plays Reginald, whenever Latanius basically revealed who he was, he just goes, "Oh, Latanius." At least that's what I remember him saying. So that made it all worth it for Daryl to have the exasperated reaction. So anyway, however the encounter turned out with the quote-unquote monster or Latanius, still had a lot of fun playing. I had a lot of fun creating Latanius out of my own imagination. He's not like taken out of a book. I created him out of whole cloth, and his abilities. Don't honk at me, man. I'm in my lane. His abilities were based upon his, how should we say, alias, and who he really is or worked for. You try to sew all that up and give, nope. Oh, yes, I can. All right, I can pass this truck on this hill. Could be a dangerous thing, but there's nobody coming. So that was enjoyable. It was nice to be able to use maneuvers that I don't normally get to when playing. I guess in combat, like. And they worked, a lot of them. That the players, they didn't roll so hot, and the guy I had, he was rolling pretty good. Of course, he was not like a pushover. He was supposed to be someone that could challenge
Proceed about 3 miles
5
on
player characters
44 east.
and give them a run for their money. Now, if the player characters had rolled better, I personally believe that the fight would have went differently. But they didn't roll great, and then the previous encounter with the monster, the monster, let's just say, helped in the battle, and well, I'm not going to spoil that, but if you watch towards the last half hour of the video, you can certainly find out. Anyway, I had fun, which is, of course, always the object is for people to have fun, and so there you have it. Anyway, so if you like listening to a Midwestern nerd talk about his home D&D campaign and thoughts on edge case rulings and
on the right.
Player motivations, and this is your channel. So hit that like button. If you really like the video and you just happen to be scrolling through, you can subscribe. And I don't ask for money, and I don't monetize my videos. So if you hear copyrighted music while we're playing, I don't really worry about it because I don't monetize anything. So I've been warned thousands of times, but they always say we're not taking any action, but if you monetize this, or you can't. And I'm like, yeah, I don't. So click. All right, anyway, hope you have a good one. Weather's turning, so maybe get outside like the old ways and play D&D on the back porch or on a picnic table. Anyway, roll them 20s. Ka-ring!